Welcome to LTG Live and Podcast. How you doing, Peter?
I'm doing good, man. How are you? I see your background's a little different. Where are you at today?
I'm still on location where we hosted the Lead the Generation conference online yesterday. So we had some wrap up work we needed to do, and so I'm still chilling right here in one of their little studio areas. But yeah, man, what a day, huh? It's crazy.
Dude, it was awesome, man. It was such a great time for me and my team, and man, took a lot away. So much to digest, man. So we're excited.
Yeah, dude, you did amazing. Your main session was just, it was
you,
so
bro.
good. It was so good. I
appreciate it.
You know,
Thank you.
as your friend and as one of your former professors from college, I was just like, go, Peter, go. Like, I was just kind of standing there, like, cheering you on, man. And it was so cool, man. So it was really great.
You.
So, yeah,
Thank you.
I need to go take a nap sometime today. Like, I'm totally wiped out. But it's just so wild. It's so wild. Well, hey, man, we want to see, who's on. I see Diamond is on right now. Diamond, you crushed it yesterday leading worship.
She did so good hosting, too.
Yeah, amazing. It was so
gifted.
Good. And so listen, those of you that are already on, just go ahead and drop a comment in the chat. Tell us, where you're watching from. We want to greet you, and we want to engage with you throughout this Facebook Live. You're watching live, so you get to ask questions. Some of you are going to be listening in later on the podcast, but you won't get to ask live questions. But, man, this is going to be a great conversation we're going to have here in a bit. We'll introduce our guest. But for those of you that maybe are tuning in for the first time, we want to know who you are. So introduce yourself in the chat, and we also appreciate a little bit of chat love and sharing love, just clicking like and share and all that good stuff and everything. Antoinette, I see you there. Great to see you. This really is going to be a great conversation, so you're not going to want to miss it. Plus, your friends are going to benefit from this. There's Quentin. Come on, bro. Quentin, did you get that DoorDash lunch yesterday? We never got a picture, but if you got a picture of the lunch showing up at your house that you won for the conference, we want to see that, bro. So, help us
Quentin
out.
is he's true. He's a real one. He desered to win that. So
yeah, absolutely. I was actually happy. Quentin, I just want you to know that it was not, we did not plan that. The production team chose you, not us. So, good for you. You won, which is really cool. But hey, if you're brand new to what we're doing here, this whole podcast, our Facebook Lives with Peter and I are sponsored by leadthegeneration.com. And so you want to check out who we are, what we're doing. There's a link there for you. And we'd love for you to be a part of this and to just follow us and hang out with us as we do these on a weekly basis. Yesterday, obviously, Peter and I were talking. We had an online conference. It was the first time we've ever done that as a ministry. We usually do live conferences. And so, dude, it was jam-packed. We had 3 dozen sessions. I'm tired just saying that. But we just want to mention to you that, if you missed it, but you're interested in hearing either the main sessions or the breakouts, we had a dozen main session speakers. Peter was one of them. I did one. Jeannie Mayo, Reggie Dabbs, Micah Mack, Terry Parkman, Chris Estrada. I'm forgetting people. Josh Wellborn, Eric. I don't know. It's too many, right? So we had a dozen main sessions, and then we had 24 breakout sessions with youth pastors from across the country. And so, anyways, if you missed any of that, you missed yesterday, and you're like, oh, I really want to get my hand on some of those sessions because I would love to use it to train my leaders. We do have a resource package, Lead Now resource package. We're posting a link for you in the chat right now. You can go check it out and download all of it. And you not only get everything from yesterday, but you get everything from our previous conferes as well. So it's
awesome.
Pretty significant. Yeah, I know, Peter. You were telling me, you're like, I'm using these videos, man. I'm like,
oh yeah, I'm gonna use them for the rest of the year. Yeah, this is it. I don't have to come up with the content. I'm stealing it. This is awesome.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah,
and we have a little bonus. So this is exciting, right? I'm gonna use these. I'm sure you'll use these in youth ministry well. Sure. But one of the main session speakers from yesterday was Reggie Dabbs, the legend himself, right? And it was an amazing session, even though we didn't get to hear him play saxophone. It was still amazing, right? But Reggie sent me a message later in the day, and he basically said, I love the Lead the Generation family, and I want to offer you guys a gift. He said, I just got done producing 5 10-minute devotional videos, and I would love to give these to everyone who attended the conference yesterday. So, bro, that's huge, man.
That's awesome, Reggie. Shout out to you, bro.
Yeah,
that's
bro.
Awesome.
Yeah. And so if you went to the conference yesterday, we're gonna be kicking those out through email to you, and you'll get that over the weekend probably. And if you're listening brand new for the first time and you didn't get them, hey, jump on our website, subscribe to our email newsletter. We're gonna send it out that way too. So we'll bless you as well, which is really gonna be cool. So, Peter, I want to give you the opportunity to not only introduce our guest in a moment, because I know that you guys are really great friends. I'm super excited to have him on the podcast and on the live today. But go ahead and introduce next week's guest as well, because he's also one of your friends as well. So for those of you that are tuning in on a weekly basis, you'll get to figure out what we're doing a week from now.
Yeah. So our speaker for next week is Austin Westlake. He is the district youth director for the Southern Missouri District. And man, Austin just has a unique perspective from where he pastored to what he's doing right now. And so we're going to be talking about diversity, culture, racism, even a little bit. We'll tap into that. But I'm super excited about that conversation and what Austin has to say. He just put out a resource for his leaders that we'll maybe get to share next week or even on the page this week. That was phenomenal, absolutely amazing, speaking to the Ahmaud Arbery situation. And so, I don't know, Austin's just a great leader, and it's going to be awesome to have him on. It'll be a solid podcast, solid live. So, yeah.
Okay. Now, I know you're also really excited about our guest who is waiting in the background right now to join us. And you guys have been friends for a while, and you guys you're doing a podcast with him, and we'll talk about that today as well. Yes. But go ahead and introduce
our guest today is one of my favorite people on the planet, and he does many things. He's an executive business coach. He's a teaching pastor at a few different churches. And he is just one of my favorite people to model my life after, honestly. And he's one of my best friends on the planet. Our guest today is Ryan Leak, the man himself, the surprise wedding king. What's poppin'?
That's so
going on, everybody. Happy to be here.
Come on.
Man.
Lead the generation nation.
Come on, man. Yeah.
I love that. Let's go.
It's so good. And man, Ryan, we're glad to have you on the live today and on the podcast today. And you and I haven't really met, but I've been following you for years and just inspired by your ministry, the way God's using you, and just some of the different things, some of the different videos I've seen, different posts I've seen over the years. So it's a real honor for us to have you on the show today. So we're going to talk in a minute on the topic of chasing failure. But before we do that, Peter and I felt like there might be a topic that's even more pressing than chasing failure.
Okay.
And so it has more to do with, like, who's your favorite NBA team, and is it MJ, LeBron, or Kobe for you? Like we just
need to answer this wisely.
We need to get all this out of the way right now before we do anything else.
My favorite NBA team, I'm gonna go with the Dallas Mavericks.
Okay, that makes sense. You're right.
Here's the reality.
So you're a Luka guy. You're a Luka guy right now. Is that partially why?
I wouldn't even go there, and I would say this because I'm a hooper. Like hoopers don't really have teams, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like real hoopers. Yeah. Like they just love the game, and you just really like players. You just talk through players and whatnot. But I gotta rep the Mavs. That's just who I gotta rep.
Respect.
Favorite player is probably Steph Curry, though.
Okay.
Yeah, probably Steph Curry.
Yeah, I like it. So
you Kobe, MJ, or LeBron?
You want to rank those in order?
Yeah.
Oh, I can rank it in order. Easy.
Well, go ahead, please. I want to hear this.
It's easy. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron.
What?
And I can do the math for everybody. Very easy.
No, I don't want to hear about the rings and all that.
6, 5, and 6 losses.
All right, that 3. You forgot 3. He's coming.
You forgot the 3. That's okay.
All right.
No, I love the conversation. So, Ryan, one of the things you and I have in common is that we both played college ball.
Yeah.
And when I watch your documentary on chasing failure, I heard you talking about, playing college ball. I did too. I didn't play at the level you did. It was a couple divisions below you, but I love the game. And
Where'd you
and
play?
I played for the University of Valley Forge. And
Yeah, no, it's the same level.
okay. Well, I don't know.
We
When I
played
was
Valley
when,
Forge.
yeah, but you guys probably crushed them, right? I'm just guessing, right?
I mean, we might have won by 20 or 30. But,
We might have won by 20 or 30. No big deal.
We might have killed him. Yeah, maybe. But I was an All-American my senior year. So, but I'm
That's
a lot
great.
older than you. So yeah. But and I love the documentary. Not only because of the connection with basketball and obviously me having a background in that, but just more importantly, like the leadership that you were unpacking on this issue of failure. Right. And this is such a this is just such a hard issue for us as leaders. Anyone that aspires to live out purpose in their life, anybody that feels burdened with vision for the impact they want their life to make, they wrestle with failure and the way they think about failure. So let me just ask this question first, and let me just say this: there's so many of you that are on the chat right now. And we just want to welcome you and invite you to ask some questions. So I see Quentin and Vernon and Reggie and Ricky, and my wife is watching right now. So many. So feel free, as Peter and Ryan and I are having this conversation, drop some questions in the chat. We would love to highlight those questions and just have you feel like you have an opportunity to specifically, talk to Ryan on this issue. But so let me just ask this first question, just to kind of get the conversation started. You made a documentary on failure.
Right.
Most people don't do that. Most people make a documentary on something historical or something successful. You made one on failure. Why?
I think it's important. I think more people fail than they do succeed. And most of us spend most of our days trying to hide our failures. And I think failing actually is the most relatable thing that we can do as leaders. Because I think Brene Brown uses the language consistently wearing our armor. We're armoring up in so many meetings and situations where we always feel like we've got to be in fight mode and strong mode and superhero mode. And the reality is none of us are always in that mode, but all of us are trying to. And so I think revealing a little bit more of like sometimes we fail. I think everybody great has failed more times than most people have tried. And so I think that when you think about that, it's, it was something I thought I knew I was going to fail, but I thought, and I started to abort mission, but then I thought, why am I doing that? There might be something that I can learn here. So
you obviously place a huge value on learning.
Yeah.
I think that's massive. Peter, want to give you an opportunity to kind of jump in on that thought there, like the value of learning or the value of failure that Ryan's just beginning to unpack for us here.
Yeah, in preparation, obviously, to have this conversation, I rewatched the documentary, and I was immediately reminded about even.
Did you do the 3-minute drill?
Huh?
Did you do the 3-minute drill? Did you go?
No, I didn't do the 3-minute drill. I watched you do the 3-minute drill.
I'm over here sweating right now because I just finished running. I'm like, God help me. Help me.
Listen. Let me interrupt here. Let me interrupt. If you haven't watched the documentary, we're posting a link in the chat right now for you so that you can watch it. And you got to watch it all the way to the end so you can hear what Ryan and Peter are talking about when they talk about the 3-minute drill. No, Ryan, I've never done one of those either, but my goodness.
No, I have not. Exactly. But
Yeah.
I honestly was reminded of like Thomas Edison, and they said that someone criticized him and said, hey, you failed 10,000 times in efforts to create the light bulb. And he said, no. The light bulb had 10,000 steps. And just the shifting your perspective to see that like your failures can be a powerful thing. There's something to learn in every experience. And I think that's what the documentary moved me to do, is to flip situations on their head and say, hey, I'm not seeing something that I could be celebrating out of this failure. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
So Peter, we were texting, kind of prepping for this conversation, and you text me a really great question that I'm just gonna put it up on the screen, and I'm gonna let you unpack, Peter, kind of what you're thinking. But when I read that question, I just thought, oh man, that's a good question right there.
Yeah. What can failure do for a leader that success can't? Like, what does it look like? Like, we think that all the greatest moments of our life are going to be on the precipice of like, hey, we're reaching success. We're getting to a place. And so, obviously, you made this entire documentary, and I'm like, what is Ryan thinking? What can failure do for a leader that success can never do? I want to hear your
That's
thoughts.
a great question. I think success when everything is working right. I think it's sort of easy. There isn't. I think we all learn from setbacks, and just thinking about like even what we're doing right now, like we had to move online because of a setback, and we
Right.
had to get creative, and we had to get. And so, in one of the darkest times in our lifetime, nationally, globally, we had to be innovative. And so,
Yeah.
I think, whereas if things were just kind of normal, I mean, I don't. It's so weird. It's hard to remember what we were doing 2 months ago.
It's
And
true.
how
That's
we
true.
would be having this conversation right now. Would we have flown somewhere and filmed it, or what would we? But just thinking about the ability to come into people's living rooms, and Pete, even on our podcast, we were talking the other day about how someone's going to figure out a creative way to celebrate seniors.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been paying attention the past couple of days, but there's like this competition between celebrities.
Yeah.
We're creating these commencement ceremonies for seniors
Yeah.
that are the bomb. Oprah,
Yeah.
Obama, LeBron James, Matthew McConaughey, and they've been playing some of their commencement speeches all over. And again, it's like, in a setback, people are stepping up. And so I think that one of the best, even watching the Michael Jordan documentary,
Yeah.
what woke up the beast of Michael Jordan? The Detroit Pistons, which made him go get faster, stronger,
Yeah.
and came back and swept these dudes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you look at Kobe Bryant, he airballed in the playoffs before he became like each of them had a LeBron James. He's honorable mention, So, but all
I
of
can't take this
ridicule he got for losing in the finals or losing to the Celtics, it's like all of those things built him and made him who he is today. So I think, success is nice, but I don't think it can teach you or give you the short answer. I think what failure gives a leader that success can't is grit.
Yeah.
I
love that word.
That's ultimately what I think it is. It gives them that
Yeah.
all right, pull up the bootstraps, let's go.
Yeah. Aaron, I feel like we have great conversations about always overcoming challenges, and honestly, this is what the conference was like, an idea that we're probably going to have to hold on to produce
Right.
Lead the Generation conferences came out of a moment where we're like, oh my gosh, the conference is going to be canceled. So you had to pull up your bootstraps and have some grit in this last moment. Yesterday putting that online conference on. So speak to that for a minute. What do you think? Why is grit so essential to the life of a leader?
Have either of you read the book called Grit by Angela Duck? What is it? I just looked it up real quick because I wanted to get it right. Angela Duckworth. Have you read that book? Great book. Great book. It's just called Grit. It's by Angela Duckworth. And she actually does the research behind what you just said, Ryan, the gift of grit. And she goes into all of just the statistical analysis of why some people have grit, why some people don't have grit. And ultimately, if I just wanted to try to give an overview of the whole book, she debunks the myth of success being connected to talent. And really just unpacks a really statistical look at here are the ways in which people develop grit, and these are also the people who actually produce in their life because they have it, and they don't give up, and they don't embrace failure as total and complete rejection of themselves, which is actually the next question I was going to ask. So we'll get there in a minute, and I'll just and the question I was going to ask you next, Ryan, but I'll unpack Peter's question here first is, how can I embrace learning from my failures without seeing myself as a failure? because I think that's oftentimes how we process failure as leaders. It reminds, my wife is a second grade teacher, and so she jokes with our kids, my 3 kids all the time. She says things to her kids in her classroom like, "You're not a bad person, you just did a bad thing." Right. But when she's talking to one of our teenagers, she says, "It's not that you did a bad thing, it's that you're a bad person." And it's a total joke, but we laugh about it all the time. But we do see failure that way. So Ryan, I'll give you a chance to kind of chew on that question. Like, how do I not take it personal? But to your point, Peter, with grit and the conference, yeah, I mean, like, we got done yesterday. I was more exhausted than I've ever been after any conference. We were, what most people don't realize is like, hey, it started at 9:30, but for us, the day started at like 6 a.m. or before. Most of the production team was here the night before until 1 a.m. doing all the final prep. We got in early. We hit run through for like 2 hours straight, and then went right into the conference until 5:30, and we did all of that in like a 4-week ramp up time of programming. It was just this insane pace to pull it off. But it was, we've talked about this on previous episodes, Peter, about how as a leader, you have to teach yourself not to see only obstacle, but also see opportunity. And so I had a lot of the younger members of our team that were saying to me, because I saw obstacle, I'll be honest and transparent, I saw obstacle. We had to cancel both live conferences. I don't know how we're going to make up from this either in any way. My younger leaders around me saw opportunity, and they said, hey, you're not thinking about it correctly. Yes, that's failure, even though it really wasn't like our failure. It was just the failure of what happened in our world. They saw it as opportunity, and that's where for me, I just had to like, okay, let's pivot and let's grit it out, because there's a chance here for us to do something significant, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
So Ryan, let me just throw the question to you now, giving you kind of a minute or two to think about it, right? And this question is actually from my father, as I was talking with him about this conversation, what we were going to have this morning, and he said, "Man, I'd be interested to hear what Ryan has to say about how do I embrace my failures without seeing myself as a failure."
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to. I did staffing for a very long time. That was my first job out of college. I was doing church staffing, and so churches would call our company, me and Justin Lathrop, and I don't know if everybody here knows Justin Lathrop, so he had a company I worked for. People would call us and say, "Hey, I'm looking for you, pastor. Looking for an executive pastor, whatnot," and we would, collect a database. And so I had a database of, a couple thousand resumes. And I would talk with people about their resume. And as we know, most people aren't good at creating resumes. And so I would, call a candidate and say, "Hey, here's the deal. Here's some things you want to tweak." And they just took it so personal.
Wow.
It's like, this is my life. It needs graphics. They're not gonna look, and they don't care. They're probably gonna look at your social media page. They're not looking at your resume. But it was just like, this is my everything. And so I think part of what we have to do is, and I was having this conversation with a guy who's thinking about changing his career a couple of days ago. I think we have to detach ourselves and detach our identity from what we do and put it more in who we really are. Because I think what happens is we feel like it's Game 7 of the NBA final,
right?
With our and we even as church leaders, it's so funny. Like we have so much in-house talk. We live as if every student, every mom, every dad has been paying attention to every single sermon series we've done for the past. And it's like, they're not paying, they come once a month.
I'm encouraged right now. I'm so encouraged.
I mean, like, I was talking to Pastor today. I was like, man, divorce is skyrocketing, in this country right now due to this pandemic. Maybe we should do it. Maybe we should talk about marriage or whatever. Like, well, we did a relationship series in January. I'm like, and so what? But so we can get so inundated in our world that we feel like it's the world, and it's really not. And so I think we got to give each other and give ourselves more grace to really fail and not take it so personal, because at the end of the day, it's just stuff. It's just a career, and we don't get to take it with us.
How about it?
Like, there's just so I think, the more and more opportunities I get, the less attached I get to those opportunities. Like, it's just they're just opportunities. That's all they are. They can't give me life. They can't give me salvation.
Yeah.
I thought they would give me joy, and they didn't.
Wow.
And not to be whatever, but I've spoken on the largest church stages in this country. And afterwards, I just went and got something to eat.
Yeah.
Like,
jumped in the car and
got on a plane.
You went back home.
And my son's like, can we make a fort? He could care less about who's who, or like, he's just happy to have dad home. And so I just think that we can't. I think when we detach ourselves a little bit more from, people are going to think higher of me as long as I'm successful. I think the sooner we lose that, the more we're going to be willing to take some risk and actually find ourselves actually living true, authentic lives where we don't feel like we have to button everything up and look the part all the time and make all of these, what they really are, they're real life filters. And I think we've just got to detach ourselves from all of our, if I could put it in a nice tweetable form, I think until we detach ourselves from needing to succeed, we'll never be okay with failure. And so there's this idea of, I got a friend, and he was on a TV show and he posted about it, and all of a sudden, all of these people come out of the woodwork. Oh man, you're my friend, man. And it's like, I think sometimes we want that, and I think we got to let go of that. I think we got to be people that are really just human. And I'm on this kick right now. I'm not trying to get higher. I'm trying to get it's not how high can you climb. It's how low can you go. That's the scripture. We're not called to be celebrities. We're called to be servants. And servants don't care how they look. Servants don't care if someone makes fun of them. Servants don't care if they're just there to serve. And so I think if that's what we're doing, then I think, we got to just check our hearts on that. So I don't even know if I answered the question.
You definitely did. Yeah, I was going to say,
you just unpacked so many things there for us that I mean, the chat's like blowing up with people like, whoa, like amazing. And, and I, and I love this. I'm just going to put this up here just because I want people to go check it out, Ryan. But Ryan Latham says, I was interviewing a youth pastor and asked him what book shaped him as a leader. He said, Chasing Failure by Ryan Leake. So we're gonna post a link for that book, your book, on Amazon, and just encourage people to jump out there and grab that. Peter, you were jumping in there. I'll just give it back to you.
Yeah, one of the things that that blesses me but also stresses me out about my friendship with Ryan is his willingness to not care if he fails. Like, you have that innate nature to be like, yo, I could do this and this could be bad. And I talked to Ryan about it, and he's like, so? Like, just go do it. I'm like, it could be bad. He's like, yeah, it could definitely be bad. But guess what? Yeah. You'll learn never to do that again. I'm like, I don't want to have to experience it to know that it's not right. Like, I just want to learn from other people. And it's like, but I honestly believe, bro, that's one of your superpowers. And it's something that I'm learning, like that me doing my best, giving my best shot, trying new things. This is the only way to honestly get to a place of discovery where you're like, this is who I am. This is how I do it. This is why I do it this way. But that journey to get there is so scary. And I think I'm talking for a lot of people in the chat when I say, like, man, like that opportunity to fail definitely keeps me back from doing a lot of things that I think I want to do or I'm semi-passionate about. But this conversation's helped me go, just take the leap of faith. And if you fall, you fall. But who knows? You could fall or land into something unbelievable. So those are good thoughts, Ryan.
So Ryan,
I think too, I mean, we could talk about this next thing, for 2 hours, but I think sometimes on our journey to trying to succeed so much, we're failing at all of the things that actually matter.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yes.
So it's like, I don't even know if it's like, I'm like, is it worth it? Like, why are we so obsessed with succeed? Like, and I just can't tell you. So I was in San Francisco. My brother lives there, and we go to this guy's house, and we're hanging out, and he works for Facebook or something like that. It's just nuts. He has like this Audi garage. Like, it's amazing. Like his garage is probably the size of my house. I mean, like it's immaculate. Indoor gym. He has like a see-through floor where you can see down into the garage and you can see the. I mean, it's just pool house. I mean, just immaculate. And I'm thinking, yo, this is the level I'm trying to play on, right?
Yeah, right.
And
here I come.
And then it's like a year later, he's divorced. And now he's in this house alone. And I'm just thinking, what would he tell us? I don't know. I'm not even judging him. I just think to myself, I don't know that I want an Audi garage.
Yeah.
But that's what it's going to cost.
Yeah.
That makes, I'm just going, so if I don't fail something, let it be in business. Let it be me trying something out there that I failed. I don't want to fail in here. Like if I got to pick, man, I'm gonna try a podcast or a sermon or an event. It can go bad, whatever. But man, I don't ever want to get all of that and get any form of success and be in it alone. And there's so many people that are either in that boat or headed in that direction. And the longer I do what I do, the more I'm going, what actually matters.
Yeah.
And there's been so many times I've just been guilty of leaving it all on the stage that I had nothing for the home, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
And so low key, I've just been like, hey, I'm a do well, but I'm not going to come home so exhausted that I can't play with my kids. So I'm just gonna have to let the Holy Spirit do his thing and not think that this whole thing is riding on me. I'm gonna bring my A game, but not so much so that I'm a zombie when I come home.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, that's helpful.
So for those of you that are just jumping into this live, we're talking with Ryan Leak about the subject Chasing Failure. He has a documentary on YouTube. He also has a book called Chasing Failure. This has been a really amazing conversation, Ryan, and we just thank you for joining us. And if you're just jumping into the live, feel free to like this, feel free to share it, feel free to ask your questions in the comments. And if you're catching us later on the podcast, man, thanks for taking a listen, and check out Ryan's podcast, check out his YouTube channel, check out his book, Chasing Failure, and some of his others as well. I want to go to this one question, Ryan, that's in the chat right now. And you kind of have unpacked this a little bit throughout some of your comments, but just to show how real this is for those that are listening right now, this is from Dylan Johnson. He says, yesterday at Lead the John conference, most people put in the chat that they have a fear of failure. This was actually one of the topics we hit yesterday in one of the messages about fear. And so he's just saying, how do you get comfortable with failure as a part of life? And I know you've touched on a little bit, but I just thought, well, let's circle back and let you unpack it a little deeper.
Yeah, I think, part of the chasing failure message, it really could not just be called chasing failure. It could be called choosing failure. And I think you should choose to try something that you think you're going to fail. I mean, just go for it. I mean, why not? The funny thing is, it's like the Chasing Failure book, it is, so I wrote it 2 weeks after the documentary was finished because someone was like, hey, you should write this. I don't like documentaries. I like books. So I put it in story form, okay? Had it proofread, blah, 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 blah. I hit print. When it got to my house, I said, this is hot booty trash, okay? It is trash, but you bought 1,000 of them. So what in the world are we going to do with these? And so I took my church, everybody bought it. And I was like, oh, okay. My worship leader was like, hey, there's 3 typos. I'm like, oh, God. Okay, so we fixed those typos. I printed a little bit better, but they come to the house and I think these now are hot booty trash. They just don't have 3 typos.
I love it.
I go speak at North Point Community Church. Okay, 43,000 people. I'm in the lobby. I'm thinking, all right, we done fixed everything. Lady comes to me and she said, you need a better proofreader. Because this is hot booty trash. And so it's like, I've got this book on failure where I'm failing.
Let's go.
It's like, what? So
Let's go.
Re-releasing Chasing Failure next summer with the publisher. It's a completely different, it's completely rebranded or whatever. And they're like, hey, make sure you don't promote the old Chasing Failure.
Right.
And then I'm like, I go on all these podcasts, people are like, go buy Chasing Failure. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Like,
and I just did it to you. We didn't even.
Who cares, man? You gotta
Come on.
do it. Wait, I saw like 25,000 of these Chasing Failure hot booty trash, but because people keep buying them, I'm like,
don't do it.
so I don't know. So then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna reprint it myself. I'm gonna print it. Our church has a printer, and like they'll do it for me, and I'll pay the church to do it, whatever. So I added 3 chapters. It's not even on Amazon. You can't get it unless you hear me speak live. And I did that. And then I sold a bunch of those. And I promise you there's mistakes in them, even though it's been proofread by all of these English majors that aren't that great. So
I love it.
It's like you just gotta go for it, man. I mean, it's like why not? Dude, I had this devotional on the Bible app, Chasing Failure one, and this girl was like, "Yo, it's fire," but there's a spelling error on, day 5.
Right.
I said,
right.
Man, I tell you what. Oh well. It's like it's not, oh, you just don't care. I think like I said, like the question, I've done enough stuff where it's just like, there's going to be flaws in everything that we do. And there are Donald Miller, who is, one of the top authors in the world. He wrote a book for inmates. He said he wanted to write a book on fatherhood for inmates. And they printed 25,000 copies. And they had accidentally reversed chapters 7 with 6. So it went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 6, 8. And so he's like, well, just give them away for free. So he had to give them to all the inmates for free. And he goes, well, that was the heart anyways. And it didn't sell really well, but it's just like, people make mistakes. Oh, well, it's like even the people that are the best at what they do, man, they've all got a million of these stories. And I think it's just you just got to get comfortable with it. You have to again. Every time we fail and we have to start over is another opportunity to get better. Me and Peter, we have recorded the same podcast 3 times this week. And one time I made a mistake. The other time I'm gonna let Peter tell his story because that's his story to tell. But we had to read it.
I made a mistake.
Yeah, and then we did it, and then it was just like, you know what? It's just not ready. But you know what's so fun is like we just keep getting in the booth, and we just keep recording, and we just keep trying to help as many people as we possibly can. And I think if we just keep our hearts right, and just we just go for it. I think you'll get comfortable with failure. You just you'll get used to it after a while because man, I could tell you 100 preaching stories where it went horrific.
Right.
I mean, where it just went absolutely horrible. Yo, I'm gonna tell you one. So I go to this church in Oklahoma. I didn't have a voice for 6 days, and I don't feel like I feel like a great communicator in every room in the world except with students. I don't know why, but with students, I feel like my humor is adult humor. I feel like my analogies are adult analogies. For some reason, like all my friends are youth pastors, so they keep inviting me to their stuff, and I'm like, stop, because
I can attest to that. I keep inviting you.
I'm just like, yeah, but I don't love your kids, and it's just not. It's just not going on, And I was just like, I think I've spoken to students one time where I felt good about it, where I felt like I was in. And so I said, Ryan, we're gonna chase failure. I was in Oklahoma, 600 students in the room, and I said, you know what, Ryan, just be yourself, okay? Just go interact with the students, do your thing. And I'm about to talk about chasing failure. I'm like, hey man, you, what's your name? Hey, tell me, what's your biggest fear? He was like, heights. I said, okay, next. What's your biggest fear? He's like, oh, I don't like spiders. I said, cool. Hey, you, what's your biggest fear? She goes, my grandma dying. I was like,
no.
I'm gonna,
yeah.
This is awful. I fail all the time. I just happen to preach at all of these churches that do 3 services, and they put up the best one. But trust me, the other 2 were hot booty trash. And I figured out.
Yes.
I was like, dude, I watched the rest online. It was fire. I'm like, well, you could go 4 people in service 1 and 2. Man, I'm glad. Man. Well, I'm glad. I had 3 opportunities. But people see the highlights, man. They don't see.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, so I'm not a failure, but man, I think I've gotten so comfortable with it going bad that I just keep getting up there and just try and do the right thing. So
yeah,
Ryan, one of the things I appreciate just about this conversation is just how lighthearted you are. And I think that we're all laughing, like Peter and I are laughing, and other people are posting crying laughter emojis in the chat. And I think it's because you're actually helping us in this conversation just laugh at ourselves and just be like, it's okay. It's all right. It happens to everyone. And it's definitely a part of the process of becoming comfortable with failure is just to be willing to laugh at yourself and say, hey, I tried, I learned, I learned. Yeah. Sometimes I get it right. Most times I get it wrong.
I mean, you just let me know what you need. If you need a failure, I do more than twice a week. I got a good.
Yeah.
This is so encouraging for me because I feel like this conversation, again, it helps me take a deep breath. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just that, none of us are getting it perfect, and you're right. People do see the highlights, and so if you feel like every time you try to put out something, it has to be immaculate. But that's just not the reality for us, and we got to keep trying. We got to keep failing.
And here's the reality too: it's anybody you admire, it's their best service as well.
Yeah.
That's Furtick's 3rd message.
Yeah.
That's Michael Todd's 3rd message. It's Judah's 3rd. I mean, anybody you look up to, you didn't see the run through.
Yeah. Right.
You saw their best, and so I think we gotta give ourselves a break, man. I mean, it just is what it is. We absolutely just get it wrong sometimes, and that's okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Listen, in the words of my wife, it's not that you failed, it's that you're a failure. So, oh, Ryan, this has been so refreshing. Would you take a moment and just tell everyone how they can find your podcast that you and Peter are doing right now? I'm sure there's a bunch of people that are gonna want to check it out and subscribe.
Yeah, if you go to Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, it's called Lifecast at Ryan Lee, where we just talk about life and the different things that happen in it. I think everybody wanted me to kind of get in a box, and I said I don't like boxes, so we're just gonna talk about whatever me and Peter want to talk about. And most of the time it's life, and we just try and help as many people as we can. It's on YouTube. You can search Lifecast with Ryan Lee. You could go to ryanleak.com. I don't even know that the podcast has been added to my website. So if any of you are good at building websites, holla at your boy. You can go and contact me for that.
Come on. Come on.
I think I should just add that page. I probably need to just do that on some.
Yeah.
Anyways, I'm gonna do that right now. So yes, go to Ryan Leak, and you can find.
So you're failing at your webpage is what I hear.
I am,
and you're okay with it. So it's good. That's good.
So
yeah,
we just keep moving forward one step at a time.
Come on.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
Awesome. Well, guys, thanks so much. Ryan, thanks for joining us today.
Yes,
what a great conversation. I know those that were watching over the last 40-some minutes, man, they're feeling refreshed like I am. Some of you will be listening back on our podcast, LTG Live, which you can currently find on Spotify, and we have a link for that. And we actually do have that on our website, Peter, just so you know, on the Lead the Generation website. We do. I'm not a web guy, though, Ryan, so don't ask me to help you figure out how to get on your
I'm about to go over there right now and add that real quick. Y'all tripping.
Well, and see, here's my failure. My failure is I can't get it on Apple right now because they tell me that my Apple ID is not validated. And I'm like, I've been using it for 10 years. What are you talking about? So Apple thinks that I am a failure, but I'm all right with that. It's cool. But Ryan, thanks for joining us. And Peter, next week you and I will be back together with Austin Westlake. And so we're super excited to have another great leadership conversation with him. And for those of you that are just checking in towards the end here, this has been Ryan Leak, Chasing Failure. Check out his documentary on YouTube. Check out his podcast. And if you're interested in what we're doing with Lead the Generation, go to leadthegeneration.com. You can check out everything we did with our conference yesterday and look at some of our resource packages as well. So thanks for listening in, friends. We appreciate all of you, and we will see you next week.